This sewer worker thought the process of clearing an obstruction in the sewer would be easy and usual. He frequently cleared up sewage obstructions, which occurred on a regular basis. However, he quickly became pallid after draining the water and discovering this obstruction. Welcome to USA Stories channel. Do not forget to subscribe and activate the bell button to receive all new updates. Now let's go to the story. Durer was employed by a major sewer draining company in the community. To find out what was causing this, his boss sent Stuart down into the sewers by himself. Approximately once a month, they descended into the subterranean pipe system of the metropolis. The source of the barrier became apparent when Stuart descended farther. There was a greater accumulation of water and other liquids than he had ever seen. "What the hell?" he murmured to himself as he hurried back to his truck, not realizing that by using the extraction hose he had packed, he would be able to remove all of the additional water. Slowly but surely, the source of the obstruction revealed itself as the water level fell. One of the major tubes was clogged by a large greenish obstruction. As he worked to lower the water level as soon as possible, Stuart stared at the thing in complete amazement. But for some reason, the massive object appeared familiar. It was an expandable, inflatable device for fixing sewage pipe breaks. During necessary repairs, the pressure exerted on the tunnel walls would avoid collapses. However, there was a major issue with this discovery. Their database showed that no scheduled repair had been ordered anywhere, and there was not a single inflating device in use throughout the whole town. Stuart became increasingly dubious as he considered the situation further, since it was not adding up. What would happen if this specific expansion unit wasn't meant to hold up damaged pipes? What if it was intended to keep out water, and maybe even unwelcome individuals? Stuart's anxiety became even more as he considered this. Stuart's appeal for assistance fascinated and astonished the phone operator, who agreed right once that this needed to be looked into. He would dispatch the 3 closest cops to find Stuart. When Stuart got to his pickup, Officers Stevens, Waddle, and Santiago were there waiting for him. Without hesitation, the sewer worker instructed the cops to follow him. Despite Stuart's explanation of the situation as he led them down, the cops were taken aback by the reason for the obstruction and launched an inquiry right away. The police quickly came to the conclusion that this was an unusual case. This was obviously put here for a purpose by someone. Officer Stevens, whose name was Tricia, stated, "We ought to attempt to remove it. I can only see one motive for someone to erect several barricades." Tricia stated resolutely, "We need to figure out what's going on and who's behind this," and the other police concurred. As quickly as they could, the crew took down the inflatable barrier and entered the sewage system. They soon encountered another barrier, just as they had anticipated. The water pressure behind the obstruction was extremely low, according to Stuart's measurement. They were positioned at intersections, but they kept running into barriers. The gang decided that following the open pipes and seeing where they lead was the wisest course of action. The cops attempted to locate the source of the noise, but they were unable to do so since the pipes mirrored it. The group abruptly stopped as they rounded the corner, staring at the amazing scene in front of them. Abruptly, the sewage pipe opened out into a huge, roomy cavern. However, that wasn't the unexpected aspect. Since they had to traverse the room to get to the manhole, Stuart was aware of its existence. What was shocking was that he and the cops were looking into a room full of fancy equipment. Stuart said in a whisper, "This wasn't here before," pointing out the obvious. With cautious hesitancy, the group made their way into the room. This person was drawing electricity from the structures above ground. Standing in front of a tower of monitors, Stuart indicated where the sounds were coming from. Who would do this and why? The cops got to work right away seeking explanations. Officer Waddle suddenly yelled, "Look at this!" after a few minutes. Before long, the whole gang had gathered around Waddle's desk. A little screen showed video of the city, but no one seemed to notice it as they examined the files and paperwork that were out in the open. "This is a very amazing finding. We must immediately contact for backup," she stated. Thanks to all the wire collected here, she was relieved to get a signal when she grabbed her portable phone. However, she was unable to transmit a message before the gang heard footsteps coming rapidly. Stuart hoped that the 7 individuals who had entered the room had not been heard or seen. one of the people shouted up out of the blue, shocking the sewer worker. The individual questioned, "Is the path ready?" "Yes, it should be, but let me double-check," a second individual said. After that remark, Stewart could sense Tricia becoming tense, and the employee understood why. It would be awful for the gang to find out that they had taken down 2 blockades. Nobody was claiming that the group was full or that more were still on their way. If nothing else, they had to wait for the one who had just departed to come back. Nevertheless, there was no way the cops could talk to each other without the public listening. Thoughts of a way out ran through Stewart's thoughts, but he was distracted by the group's chatter. They spoke about their strategy and which banks and diamond stores would be the best for them. As they talked about jewelry stores and banks, it was obvious that these folks were preparing to commit some crimes. One of them abruptly interrupted to say that they had to finish before discussing the final plan. "Just wait a moment for Roger to return," someone said. All Tricia needed to hear was that. Stewart was astonished to hear Tricia's voice when the gang of crooks congregated at the same location. She cried, "Now!" as she abruptly emerged from cover and motioned for the other police to follow. Beside her, they materialized, and together they went up to the offenders and ordered them to submit and keep their cool. Stewart's wide eyes gazed at the sight. Although there were more criminals than police, the policemen were well prepared and had the element of surprise on their side, which made him extremely anxious. The crooks soon recognized that giving up was the wisest course of action. Even if every culprit was apprehended and given a prison sentence, the tale would make national headlines. Following the make of the arrests, after completing their investigation, the authorities discovered the precise plans the perpetrators had in mind. The trial was heavily covered by the media. The group intended to use the sewage system to loot banks and jewelry stores around the city at the same time. That would allow them to travel across the city fast and covertly. Fortunately, Stewart and the police officers who were first on the scene foiled the crooks' intentions. They succeeded in securing the safety of the city, thanks to their cooperation and gut feeling that something significant was going on. They received a Medal of Honor from the mayor's office for that accomplishment. Please remember to subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our videos. If you enjoyed the tale, the next video that plays on your screen will probably move you too.